the American people do not like young girls getting abused by rich men. That is a bridge too far. And so they would like to see the list released. It doesn't seem that the list is going to be released. I don't understand why it hasn't been. But powerful men have powerful friends in government. I I think that a lot of Trump supporters would like to see the list released, but at the
Yeah.
same time, it is a complete distraction.
And Carla Sands joins me now, the former US ambassador to Denmark under Donald Trump. Good morning.
Great to be with you.
Well, I mean, we are here in this country looking ahead to Donald Trump arriving. What do you think the mood will be in the Trump camp ahead of this visit?
I'm sure they're thrilled. President Trump is the first US president ever to have two official state visits. He's had one with Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, and now he'll have a second with His Majesty King Charles and the rest of the royal family. I'm sure that they're all, very excited because we do have this special relationship between the United States and the UK. There's no denying it.
And is the royal element of this visit, do you think, the most important part for Donald Trump? Will that be the bit that he focuses on the most, or will it be the politics?
Well, I don't think it's either one. I think it's thrilling, of course, to have this wonderful royal visit, but I think he's here to make sure our security cooperation is strong, to make sure that our economic cooperation is strong, to get these trade deals really locked up, and to make sure that our economies both are firing on all cylinders. And I just hope that the leaders of the UK will do the same things that President Trump is doing. Now, he does want to lower interest rates. You all have been more successful at that than we have so far. But otherwise, there are things that the UK can do. And I would also suspect he's going to mention free speech in our precious relationship.
Do you think, because I think there are a lot of people, there are a lot of politicians inside the government who are a bit concerned, a bit worried about free speech and this argument, because they hear a lot from US politicians that the UK has lost free speech, that you will be arrested for your tweets. Is that, do you think, one of the concerns that Donald Trump will bring up with the Prime Minister?
Believe it or not, and this is really unusual, Kat, people in the United States are actually talking about the loss of free speech in the UK. They're very concerned. They're seeing that people are getting more jail time for talking on social media about issues than, say, the rapist or the offender who is, sometimes a terrible person, but that person gets little jail time, but the person that talks about it gets more jail time. And let's not, I just came from the memorial service at the Kennedy Center for Charlie Kirk. He was a free speech, I would say, giant in America. His whole idea was we have to talk about things so that we don't have war. When you stop talking, that's when bad things happen. The UK cannot have democracy if you can't talk about issues freely. Otherwise, you end up with a totalitarian uh, way of life. And I don't think that most people living in your country will tolerate it. I think that it will come to a breaking point, unfortunately.
Is there a worry about some of this stuff? You know, you mentioned Charlie Kirk. There's been a big political rally, a march in this country over the weekend of people who are very concerned about British values, about free speech. That's part of it. Are you worried that politicians bringing this up and overemphasizing a handful of cases which are not fully representative of the picture here in this country, that could do some damage?
Well, it's not really a handful of cases. There are literally thousands of examples of people that are being punished for what they've said. And it seems as if the whole the whole control in this area in the UK has changed from when I was a young woman and would come to the UK, where people spoke freely about all issues. Like I said earlier, I don't believe for the US we cannot have a constitutional democracy, a constitutional republic, I correct, without freedom of speech. It is the number one, it is the First Amendment to our Constitution. In the same way, How can the UK or even the EU have the democratic leadership and government without being able to freely discuss every issue? The only thing that the American people aren't free to do is to incite violence or to incite someone to be killed.
Well,
That's
that's the
illegal
same in this
speech.
country. That's the same in this country, and there are not thousands of examples of people being locked up in prison for things that they've said in this country.
On social media, yes, I think there's 300 people a week I read that are being
No,
accused of crimes because of what they've posted online.
no, you. What we're talking about here is people. You raised the issue of people being locked up in prison for longer than a rapist, and there are not thousands of
Well,
people in this
no, there
country in
are
prison
examples
for
of
longer
that.
than
There,
rapists.
you're right, Kat. There are examples of that happening. But what I'm talking about is the assault on the basic idea of free speech because someone's feelings got hurt. Well, I'm sorry, but people's feelings get hurt every single day. If you have a spouse, your feelings have probably gotten hurt. And, we're all human, but if we cannot talk through our issues, like Charlie Kirk said, bad things happen. It's very important. But I think that's only one of the things that President Trump will raise. He's going to have the military flyover of UK and US fighter jets. They're going to have the ceremonial dinner, staying at Windsor Castle. It's really going to be glorious, and I can't wait to see all of the images, the photos, and videos coming out of this spectacular and unprecedented visit.
Do you expect that we'll hear anything robust from the president about Ukraine? I mean, we've seen an incursion into Poland last week of Russian drones. There's some real worry within NATO that America is no longer willing to back up NATO allies in the region. Do you think we'll hear anything from Donald Trump on that front?
Well, I think that he wants to end that war. He is the peace president. I never saw one meeting attempting to end that war when Joe Biden was president or from the leaders of Europe. They just sort of wrung their hands and sent aid to Ukraine, but did not try to end the killing, which I think is the most important. And at the fundamental
Yeah.
end of it, it has to
But
end some
but
way.
that meeting with Putin didn't work though.
Well, so far, it's because China is still funding the war. And President Trump, as you know, has now called for all European nations to stop importing any Russian gas and to put 100% tariffs on Chinese goods. As soon as China feels some pain, they will pull the plug on Russia, which is now almost a vassal state of China because they're getting so much support from China and so much economic cooperation. Uh, it's shocking to see, and it's a shame that Russia chose China as a partner, but they have done so. And the key is going to be China, India too, of course. And he's calling for all European nations to do this. So if they will step up and do it, the war will end, and we know how.
Okay. I want to talk finally about Jeffrey Epstein because over the last couple of days, you will be aware that the UK's ambassador to the US has been sacked, Peter Mandelson, because of his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, which continued after his conviction. It's a difficult area for Donald Trump. His supporters are not comfortable with his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Do you expect that that will come up in the meetings in the UK? And how will Donald Trump respond if it does?
Well, we know that before he was president, many years ago, Donald Trump ejected Jeffrey Epstein from his club, Mar-a-Lago Club, and really stopped associating with him and was very helpful to the FBI. I think that it's a distraction. The American people do not like young girls getting abused by rich men. That is a bridge too far. And so they would like to see the list released. It doesn't seem that the list is going to be released. I don't understand why it hasn't been. But powerful men have powerful friends in government. I I think that a lot of Trump supporters would like to see the list released, but at the
Yeah.
same time, it is a complete distraction.
So was it
He's
a good thing? Did the Prime Minister here make a good decision in sacking Peter Mandelson?
I can't speak to that. I mean, I really don't have an opinion at all. I don't follow this issue. What I follow are the positive and important things that are happening today: ending the war in Ukraine, increasing the UK and US economies, getting good paying jobs for our people, The UK now, because of the high energy costs and the bad policy for the economy, now has a lower GDP per capita than the United States' poorest state, Mississippi. The entire GDP of UK per capita is lower than the poorest United State of Mississippi.
Oh, I've not heard that before. That's a new statistic
We
by me.
need you to be economically strong, Kat. We need you to, have a strong, robust economy. People should be able to afford to heat their homes in the winter and be able to travel inexpensively in the UK. This is bad policy that has led to the pain that the people of the UK are experiencing. So I will just hope that your leaders will work with President Trump, look at what his government is doing, and maybe do some of the same things so that the people of Great Britain, the UK benefit and have a strong economy, strong defense, and can thrive. And young people can get good paying jobs and not be
Mm.
feeling depressed and unemployed.
Carla Sands, thank you very much for your time this morning.
Great to talk to you.